There we
Because
go.
we're knocking
Super
it out of the
professional.
park.
Super professional. Welcome. Welcome everybody that's here. If you're here live, thank you. Thank you for being live. Pin Mike, I saw you were in here early. Thanks a ton for being here. I saw there was like already 12 people here. So if you're here live, awesome. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, thank you. Thank you for watching that. We record these every other week on the Flippin' Out YouTube channel. So on this channel that you're watching it on, usually starting right at 10 Eastern Standard Time, going to about midnight. So show up, be a part of the conversation. That's what we're all here for, is just to talk pinball and have a good time. But yeah, if you are watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Thumbs up, write a comment, whatever. I try to read every comment just to respond. And yeah, I'm just all about the conversation here, whether it's present or past, whatever it is. Yeah, feel free to participate. Les, good seeing you, man. But yeah, welcome tonight. We have a bunch of stuff. Andrew, thank you. That's a perfect comment. See, those are the types of comments we need. They're straight and to the point. It's perfect. Yes. Sterling Balls of Steel, how you doing, buddy? And then Rex, weird. I just got a notification that this was streaming right now as it's ending. No, it's definitely not ending. It's definitely not ending. It's definitely not ending. We just started. So, Deadpool in the background looks like we're gonna need a new topper. Yeah, dude. Okay, we're gonna talk about Deadpool. Don't worry. Fight Cave. Yeah, I love seeing the familiar faces. And Hadi, thank you for participating in chat. So, enough about me. Let's look at the four wonderful gentlemen, or three additional wonderful gentlemen that we have. Same crew as 2 weeks ago. I see no friends. Josh, we're building. We're building into it. Just hello, quick introduction, and here we are. Oh man, that means Deadpool is going on. No, Luke, there's just a lot going on, and I don't know how to feel about it. Okay, and so we're gonna dive into that a little more. So yes, let's go around. Let's do our normal introductions. Who you are, what do you do, what was the last game of pinball you played, and just to mix it up, we're gonna go the opposite way. So we'll start with Hadi. Go for it, man.
Hello. I'm Hadi of Briscoe Pinball. Welcome. Good to see everybody again. The last game of pinball I played, actually, I had somebody come in and help me service Black Knight because wasn't ejecting the ball out of the trough. So we played some Black Knight together, hit some retro mode. Haven't hit ransom mode, but Black Knight always reminds me how fun it is. But I'm excited for Pin Clash, Carl.
Oh yeah.
I pinball. I just updated the code on Godzilla, so that's what I'm going to be hitting next.
Yeah, and I am admiring. Most of the time, Hadi has a green screen, but he actually has. Apparently, he got a desk. He's moving up in the world, and
Got pinball machines.
Yeah.
I used to sit on a stool, and then to stream my physical pins, I would put a stool and a TV tray, and the monitor would go on the TV tray. And so now I have a desk, and I'm getting a little AV cart, but I'm excited, and I'm looking for, hopefully, once March passes and Stern announces its next cornerstone, I'm really looking, and this will segue into tonight. I'm looking to buy like an older style rules pin. I was looking at dominoes, and everybody was saying, "Don't buy dominoes."
Yeah, don't the spooky dominoes. Yeah.
But we'll get into it later.
All right, Pinball Eddie, happy Friday Eve. Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and participating in chat. But yeah, Finn Shiro, everyone. Awesome. I love it. I love that people are here, ready to go. LA for us. Yeah. Oh, dude, that's the guy that said, yeah, Saul Travis got the bad girl shirt. Absolutely. Kevin, thank you so much. I sent you another email. I'd love to send you a Triple Drain shirt in return. But yes, Travis enjoys his bad girl shirt. So well done. Shout out. I got my spooky shirt on tonight, in honor of Domino's Pinball. What do you Hadi's got the pin monk on, Craig's got flipping out pinballer. Yeah, you need to Mike, you need to just grab like a white Sharpie and add an S to the end, but we'll keep it going, man. Mike, yeah, go for it.
I'm Mike. I'm part of the Pinballers. You can check us out typically on Tuesdays. We do Tasty Tuesday, play a different game, snacks, all that sort of fun stuff. We also do tournament streams. You will see us quite a bit more often, at least for the next month or so, as Carter and I will both be competing not only against each other, but also to try and qualify for Pin Clash for the Godzilla that Carl is doing. And I am just off of my...
I know. Dude, well deserved, man. Well deserved.
That is for the collection here. The last game I played is actually the Led Zeppelin. We just got that back in that was on a trade for the Alien LV that I had. And I just set it up today and everything and got it all, dialed in and leveled and everything. And I had a couple games on it. I do have it up for trade or sale right now, but I did miss this game.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of fun. I get why people don't like the game. I get it. I understand it. That's fine. I still enjoy the game. I'm not going to apologize for that. So
yeah, I think people just wished it was more. But if you set that aside, like if you ignore the art, if you ignore the lack of toys and just participate in the game that's there, it is genuinely a great time. And it's
almost like not in the same scale, but I would say similar to the Toy Story. The Toy Story has a lot in it, but it's like the price, right? So that's what's sort of if like this should be the pro, in my opinion. What's in the premium? If that was the pro, then maybe we can talk a little,
Yeah.
But
well, as you guys know, I mean, Ray Day's in our Discord, and Ray Day will like post. He's trying to get some other members who have talked about wanting to get Led Zeppelin, and he just keeps posting for sale ads, and the deals are crazy. Like Luke is saying, there's a $5,000 Led Zeppelin Pro. Yep. It's a steal. It is such a fun pin, and it's hard to enjoy that at a bar because the music adds so much to it. But I know I'm planning on going over to one of my friend's house relatively soon. I think actually tomorrow, and I know he has a Led Zeppelin, and out of his whole collection, like I'm genuinely looking forward to playing Led Zeppelin and just ripping that middle ramp during guitar solos and having a good time. So I'm happy for you. I'm glad it's back. But
it's back. I'm going to enjoy it. If it doesn't sell, I ain't going to be sad because I'm still loving the game. I'm enjoying it. So
sure. Well, that's good.
Yep.
That's awesome. Craig, go for it.
Hello, chat. Craig Bobby from where I do the top stories news segment on the award-winning Pinball Show. Now I can say that the award-winning Pinball Show podcast with Zach Meny and Dennis Kriesel, which is of course part of the Pinball Network. And on that show we discuss pinball news, market trends, game reviews, Stern production updates, anything and everything that has to do with the wacky world of pinball that we are talking about today.
Awesome. Yeah.
So talking about Godzilla, which is the last game that I played, and I do think that 2023 is, despite lots of cool things coming out, I think that so many of these games are still being produced this year. I do think that this is going to be, again, the year of Godzilla, where a lot of people are going to be getting their machines this year and enjoying them for the first time at home, where they can really get into the game and really understand how incredible this thing actually is. Speaking of which, and what could make Godzilla even better? Well, of course, mods for Godzilla would make this even better. And there's tons of mods that are out right now, tons of mods that are coming. Stern themselves will have lots of mods that are coming out this year, and accessories like the shooter rod, like the topper, which is going to be due out maybe even by Texas Pinball Festival, who knows. But if not then, I would say by the summer they'll probably have that out. But another mod that Joe and I were looking at today, that I got word of course, the good gentleman over at Stumbler Pinball, who is very famous for his highly acclaimed neon sign mod that you can get and put in your Godzilla, and also a cool little UFO mod to replace the existing one with cool flashing lights. And also, if you get the full kit, there is the heat ray LED on the translight that you can mod and make that flash a little bit as well. But the coolest mod yet, I think, is coming. And what would be cooler than those two mods? Well, how about a sign and a building, a neon sign and a building that's going to be in the back right corner of this game, that will incorporate the same sort of neon sign that he's already done for the first one that he did, and a very cool blown out building that's going to replace the existing flat building in the game that you get as a stock unit. So I am very much looking forward to seeing that, because I think he's going to have a lit windows, the neon sign, you know, a ramen noodle sticker on the side of this building, and the detail. What really fascinates me about it is the level of detail in this building is unlike anything I've seen. Like individual bricks, you can see. I mean, the
it's not 3D
molding
printed.
he's done.
It's clearly cast, like a resin cast with paint.
Yeah.
So the Stumbler mod, it's if anybody has the neon sign, which I know I have one. Hadi, you bought one. Craig, you have one. It's an incredible sign, and it adds a ton. And then my UFO kit has been sent. I'm waiting on that. That's more lighting effect. But yeah, what Craig is describing is it's the back right building, but instead of it being flat plastic, there's already like a neon ramen dragon sticker. So I think he's replicating that graphic, but in the neon lights. But then there's the 3 lights of Bash Building, Light Battle, and Bridge Out. And so those 3 things are going to be integrated into that building as well. So and that's just the right building. So we all know, just prepare your wallet, because if any of us, which I know Hadi will, I know I'm in, but if he's doing the right building, you know he's going to do the left building too. Like it's just a matter of time. So it's insane. Pin Mike, I may need a neon sign for mine. I was worried I didn't get well with a 1954 setting, but I guess, dude, it's so awesome. Like it genuinely adds a ton to the overall vibe. And I mean, I know, Mike, you're not a mod guy in certain aspects, but it's just, I don't know, for whatever reason, this game, it's so fun to mod. And I love crushing it. The guy's crushing it.
I think it's great. I love mods. The only issue I have is the and I guess Godzilla is a different story, because I don't see that game going anywhere soon. So I guess I could kind of splurge to get more mods for that. But games that are popular like Godzilla, you're going to see awesome mods like that. You know, other games like Led Zeppelin, for example, like there's not a lot. Like nobody really makes a lot of mods.
There's a sticker you can put on the blimp.
But yeah,
but it's interesting because it's almost like a game like Led Zeppelin that could use the mods the most, you know? But it's Dennis, what's up? Just tuning in, Squalito. Yeah, so we're talking about Stumbler. It's Stumbler, right? Or Stumpler?
Yep.
Whatever it is. Stumbler.
Stumbler.
So I think it's within the next few weeks he's going to post that next building mod. So I would love to know the exact date, because I want to get on that list early. I was super lucky with the UFO one that I just happened to like refresh Pinside at the right time. And I know I'm one of the first like 40. But yeah, it's awesome. Andrew, I have the Zach Mod Cinder. I have the neon side. It's worth it, man. It's such it is such a cool thing to add.
And in general, I think you got to be careful with mods, because I think there are a lot of not great mods out there that actually, you know, don't add much to the game. They kind of I'm kind of picky that way too, and they really have to. I think a mod really has to blend well with the existing game and add something a little bit more, or I do think it starts to look a little tacky. And I also think from a resale perspective, I'm not sure these mods particularly add a lot of value to your machines. You just have to be wary of that too, and not go too crazy, because there's a good chance you're not going to get your money back out of this stuff. You know,
there are some. There's some. Like, I think it's crazy that neon sign. Like he has set cutoff limits like 4 different times. And I think he said he's like, I'm cutting it off at 500. And then there was a reserve list. And then I think he's going to make like, I don't know, like 550 or whatever it is. But like March is the time that he's planning on stopping doing the mod. And that's crazy. Like there are mods that I know, some of the other mods that have been made,
like the Tron one, Joel.
Well, yeah, some of them it's like they do a list, they knock out whatever 200, and then they're done. I know most of medicinal mods, once they're done, they're done. and you're out of luck.
Speaking of the Tron mod, actually, I have a friend who's reviving that. He lives in this town.
Oh, nice.
If you look on Pinside, his username is Pin Fandango, and he's redoing this mod, and he's actually improved upon it. And he's got a list of people that are buying this mod for Tron.
Yes.
It's the arcade, the arcade machine.
Yeah,
But it's actually the shape of the original arcade machine
Nice.
as opposed to just a regular cabinet. Joystick lights up, all sorts of stuff. He's got videos on it and stuff, so you can check that out.
Oh my, which I love that name. Oh my. Anyways, yes, are the mods moment maker? I think some of them, like what I like about that mod, at least the neon sign, is it adds to the atmosphere of the game, and it responds to the light show and everything. And I get it. There's so many mods where, like Turtles, there are so many people that just bought turtle action figures and just started sticking in the game.
Jamming them in there.
Yeah, to me, it's like it doesn't work for me. But yeah, Jay Sellers, hey guys, sorry I got here late. Well, if you're not going to show up on time, why show up at all?
Get out.
No, Jay, thanks for being here. So I get it. Mods are very subjective, and some people, I see what Mike's saying, or there's others, that no game is forever staying. So do I really want to put a lot of time in? And
if you look at one like Creature from the Black Lagoon on the hologram, they have an LCD mod where it adds little animated scenes and things like that, and those are so hard to find these days. It's when they do a run of these really good mods, you got to jump on it because it's so hard to find it.
Yeah. So that's where I'm glad, at least the Stumbler mods, like, I think it's great. Props to him for still making them. But I mean, we know for a fact Godzilla is going to be made multiple times this year. So there's all these new Godzilla owners that are at one day, going to be like, oh no, is that gone? And it's like, yeah. And then it'll be like, watch it. One of us could, we'll be tempted. It's like, shoot, I could probably sell that neon sign right now for $700. Something, something crazy.
I can buy the topper.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it. It's considering I think they're going to be pushing. I mean, I don't know what the number is, but I got to think they're going to be eventually selling close to 10,000 of these games in some iteration. And it's, maybe it's more. I mean, it's crazy how many backorders they have, and how long, I think, considering how long they're going to also make, and they're going to run this game for years, and it's going to be, I think, a workhorse of their production line for a long time.
And Andrew here is saying Stranger Things UV kit. Exactly. Like, those are the ones where some of the people that bought Stranger Things early, that looked at it as like, well, this isn't a keeper, I'm just going to play the heck out of it, why buy the kit? They've since moved on to now people that have been searching for the game, and now they can't get it. Or the Ghostbusters topper, I remember when the Ghostbuster topper came out, it was $250. $250.
The Kiss topper, that's another one.
Yeah,
that's a huge one. Yeah,
there's some crazy ones. So I don't know. It's a crazy thing. But yes, so the Stumbler mod, I would tell you, if you're a Godzilla fan, if you're watching this after the fact, like, check them out. If you have any questions, just comment. I'll post a link. But the Scoop mod, get in on it now. For the neon sign, and then he's doing the UFO mod now, which comes with some other stuff, and then there's a building mod coming out for the back right building. So buckle up, because they're awesome. They're awesome. Well, Craig, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and my name is Joel. I do the Flippin' Out stream every Wednesday night. So here's the Flippin' Out with Friends, and then next week I'll be doing another stream. Last week I streamed Cactus Canyon, and I think that's the plan as of right now. I did talk to Zach, and I think Zach is getting either a Scooby-Doo or a Bond 60th, so there's a good chance that next week I'll be streaming this, but 2 weeks after that, I will probably be streaming one of those two games. So I'm looking forward to it. Either way, I mean, it's like there's a lot coming out soon, which I'm really pumped for. Last game I played was Cactus Canyon, and here's the deal. I beat it. I finally beat the game.
What?
But I will tell you what.
Is that the second game you've been able to beat now?
Okay, so
you did Toy Story 2, right?
I've beat Toy Story. So the 3 games that I've gotten to, like, actually, well, okay, I had a Taxi at one point. Like, I've seen everything in Taxi. Yeah. But then if it's not on stream, it doesn't count. Hey, Squalito, hopefully next week. Okay, I'll do it again. But I beat NBA Fast Break. I've beat that multiple times on stream, and then Toy Story I did beat, and then Cactus Canyon. So what's tough is when the world is saying, "Oh, Cactus Canyon, the rules are too easy. It's too shallow. It's too easy of a game." Like, crap, I gotta, like, I better beat this game. I better beat this game before it leaves,
on.
because what category do I fall into? Like, no, it's too hard. That's not on brand for Wind Raider. Okay, it happened, but I've had a blast playing that game, and I've played that game almost every night since I've had it. And there's just something about it, the simplicity of the code. And this is going to kind of bring in the next topic here. So are you bored of it now? I don't know. I don't know that answer. I literally beat it like 2 hours ago, but I'll see. This will be a great question to ask me next week. You know, when we stream it, I'm going to play it again, but whether or not I'll feel that need to play it every single night, because that was something like, I have no idea how long I'm going to have this. It may be gone in a week or more, but I need to make sure I beat this game before it's gone. And before you ask, no, there were not precision flippers on it. No, I did not put it to 5-ball. It is stock. It is exact. The only thing I did is I turned up the flipper power based on when I streamed last time. They said turn up the flippers by +5. They said it makes it feel closer to like a snappy Stern flipper. Awesome. It definitely, I did enjoy that. It made the ball faster. But the code itself, what I like about the game is it's a 5-pointed star, and there are 5 tasks that you have to complete. And the 5 tasks are showdown. So showdown is, there's these 4 quick draw bad guys that pop up. You have to hit down all 4. So that's kind of a progressive thing. There's stampede. Stampede is you have to get through all the modes. Then there's get bad Bart, or get Bart Bros. So that's get through all the Bart Bros. And then there's Mother Load, which deals with the multi-ball. And then there's combos. You have to get 10 combos. And I will tell you, what I love about the game is let's say I start the game and I'm thinking to myself, all right, I want to really focus in on Bart Bros. And I start playing that and I get bored of that, or I like fail at that task. Well, the next time I start the game, I can be like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to focus on modes. And then if you fail at that, you're like, I don't want to do it anymore. Or it's like, hey, I got through the modes, I got through Bart Bros, but then I missed the mother load shot. So next time I start, I want to just focus on the multi-ball first and make sure I get the mother load shot before I did. And it's just this like, it almost reminds me of some of the modern Stern games where before you hit start, you can like pick what you're going to play. You know, like, do I want to play this, or do I want to do a challenge mode, or do I want to do co-op mode, or, you know, it's some of these rule sets when it's a task-based wizard mode like that of doing 5 tasks, it's easy to not get bored or frustrated maybe. And when I compare that to Jurassic Park, which is sitting right next to it, like, and this is nothing against Keith or Jurassic Park. I know there's a lot of love for Jurassic Park, but it's like when you're working through paddocks and you get through 2 or 3 and then the game ends, it's like to start the game up and know I immediately have to do the exact same thing again to get back to where I was. Like it's not as, it doesn't draw me back in at nearly as much as when I have these options. And I think Godzilla actually does this incredibly well. Cause let's say I get into a battle and I'm whatever, I get 2 in and it's like, well, last time I played, I did Ebera and Gigan. So I'm going to play another game, but instead of doing those, I'm going to do whatever. Like you can do other things, or you can focus, like give me those different, I don't know. I like that. So Luke, you don't though, you can do control rooms or T-Rex if it's true, but it's still like control rooms. You still have to get through at least a paddock to like light control room. I get it, and I'm not trying to I know there's a lot of Jurassic Park love, and I know I'm like the odd one out for saying anything negative against it. But maybe it's just the way that my mind works. So I've started to like look at other games that kind of have this task-based code, and NBA Fast Break is actually a perfect example of that. There's different things. Attack from Mars is another game where like a 6-way combo is one of the things. This is another Brian Eddy game, Stranger Things, which Hadi has behind him. Look at that beautiful topper, that infinity mirror topper. Stranger Things has a similar thing. There's like 6 tasks that you have to do. And KO, you'll hate and get frustrated with Jurassic Park, then love it more than anything else. Medieval Madness. So that's my thought. So I'm throwing this out to you guys because I've been researching the way that I've enjoyed this game and the way that this game's been enjoyed by my friends and family. It's really made me start to consider a CGC game. And the reason I'm kind of limiting it to CGC is it's because of the bells and whistles. Like, I love this freaking XL display. I love the speaker like I love the extra lighting they've added to it. Like, sure, I understand I could buy plenty of games for, like, The Shadow is another game that's task based to get to a wizard mode. But here I am being a snob that I love the lights and the freaking topper and all that. Like, it's just, instead of actually buying an old game, it's like, how do I get that type of simplicity and 90s rules, but yet all the modern everything, all the modern bells and whistles. So I'd like to hear Hadi opinion on Avengers, as I see a nice LE behind him. Okay, well, I know there's three Avengers owners. Don't you, Mike, have Avengers still?
No,
Okay.
it's gone.
Yeah, because that game sucks. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So who wants to start with that? I know, Hadi, I know you got a lot of love for like Whirlwind and some of the, I don't know. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on like that type of 90s code versus like modern code. So
I think the 90s code is so approachable for anyone new to pinball. And I think as you get into pinball as a more serious hobby, then you look to the modern pins and see all the extra things that they have to offer. I look at Attack from Mars as kind of like the perfect example, because not only are you able to look at what tasks are in front of you to get to ruler of the universe or rule the universe, you can also stack some of them during your multi-ball. You can accidentally hit a 5-way, 6-way combo to finish one of the requirements for your wizard mode progress. But there's something so amazing about, and this is why I really hope CGC is doing a Twilight Zone remake, but there's something so cool about the way they approach remaking these games. They don't really change a lot, minus whatever hopefully comes out of Lyman's code, but they add to it that modern flair, modern touch that people like. The bigger screen, the fancy lights on the speakers, the topper, like it is so. And that's why I'm kind of struggling with what I want to buy for my next pin. I love Stern, but I also really want something old school that would bring me back to, Whirlwind's Wizard Mode is getting the Mega Door bonus. Diners is getting Dine Time. They're very easy and approachable. And then from there, you can figure out, okay, well, what is my approach to getting a better score than just the Wizard Mode now? How can I exploit this game if you're starting to get into the hobby seriously? But for newcomers, there's just something awesome about progressing and seeing your progress towards a simple Wizard Mode. And even Twilight Zone, you may not know that you're progressing, but as you see the door, the mode slowly being completed, it's just awesome. And I think that era is so loved because a lot of us are of the age when we started playing pinball as teenagers or younger kids. That was our exposure, and even some early solid states, and maybe even some EMs. But I think that is such a golden era that is really hard to replicate now, because everything's a lot more complex. You ask me about AIQ, I love it. Theme-wise, it was always a top theme for me. It was the first pin I owned. But man, it's tough, and it is really deep. I am still trying to figure out where I should maximize my gem usage. And there's something about approaching a pin and not having to have a 72-page manual to worry about that comes with, a rule set that's like Attack from Mars, Whirlwind, Diner, and Taxi. Those are just so amazingly made, and I love that we are getting remakes of them. I don't hope that pins go back to that simplistic of a rule set, but I do hope that there's maybe a sort of hybrid like you see with the 2.0 kits, where you can switch from Fathom to Fathom 2.0. You can switch from Bride to Pinbot to 2.0, and you can, or even Funhouse. It adds the new rule set where it's a little more intricate and involved and complex, but it doesn't take away the charm from what you have originally. I think that's a good compromise, but I'm always open to hearing other people's opinions.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, Hadi, the trick to understanding Avengers is you ask Ray Day to join you on stream. And I tell you, I'm so thankful that Ray did that with me, and I know Travis Murray did it as well. And it's just to have somebody who knows the game watch you play and talk you through it. Like, I know I called you, Hadi, about Stranger Things.
And it was great. That set me on the right path, and like those baby's first tutorials that Ray Day does, like that. I watched that, and then I sort of understood, okay, this is how you approach Avengers. Now it's really fun to shoot, just like Godzilla. I love Elwyn shooters, and they're always we'll get to another topic, but they're always going to stay here with me as far as I know. But I don't know. I really love the rule set and approach of the old school pins. They're so much fun to play, and they bring people together. You can have people coming back to them more and more versus the more complex machines where they may give up right away after, being like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Yeah, for sure. Pinball Eddie here had that journey, got the Grail, Funhouse, restored it. GC so far, 75 million, then Taxi, wife's favorite. Now moving to Godzilla, JP, but Trick is finding something modern the family likes, still have Funhouse and Taxi. That is my struggle. It is a struggle. Like, here I am with the collection that I know I'm having a blast with, and then all of a sudden this thing rolls in, and it's like everybody genuinely likes this game. And I want to hear Mike, but I will tell you, you said I'm curious if there would be a modern game that does a similar approach. There is one, and that game is Toy Story. Toy Story is a task-based multi-ball. You look at it, there's 6 tasks you have to do. And I enjoyed it. It's but people hate it because it's too simple, right? The code is not.
It's also $12,000 for that was the initial turnoff for me. It looked great, and I'd have fun playing it, but it's not a $12,000 machine. It's just way too much.
And Hadi, you're not going to want to read that, but Luke said it sounds like Hadi, you need a Big Lebowski.
I had one on order. I had one on order, and I flipped it so I could get my Stranger Things, which was more of a want at the time. But I will have a Lebowski hopefully someday.
Yeah, and Rules, there's got to be a better way to say that. Medieval Madness is absolutely on my radar. That's what everybody's saying, Medieval Madness, and I do know CGC is saying they're going to do another run of them, so that would be awesome to be able to hop on that. But then there's a lot of people that they're like, if you're going to play the CGC game, like Attack from Mars, you can't beat Attack from Mars. And the problem is I can't afford Attack from Mars. There's nobody's selling it. They're super expensive. Yeah. But it is interesting. But Mike, I'm very curious. The games have come and gone. And I think the one thing that differs between you and me, Mike, is skill level. I think you're too good for some of these games. Like you and Carter could just blow, like you guys blew through Alien the first day you had it,
Yeah.
And so I'm curious your thoughts here on having, I don't know, you know the prompt.
Yeah. So I have a mixed collection. I've got games from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I have, I've owned all sorts of games from different eras. And I've said this before here that I feel like the old 90s games are the sweet spot. Like that's the sweet spot for your code, right? Like it's approachable. And this is me sort of speaking from also as like a competitive player as well. They're approachable, but there's enough rules that there's enough meat on the bone, right, in the game that you want to explore a little more. The newer games, they're a completely different. It's almost like the games now with the rule sets the way they are geared more to being inside your house as opposed to on location, right? Like these games like here, Jackpot here, for example, there's no modes in this game. There's no modes at all. It's just there's your multi-balls, you've got your casino run. There's a handful of little things you can do, but it's so addictive. It's challenging. It's fun. There's little nuanced rules in it as well. And to be honest, like aside from Iron Maiden, this is the game that's been in my basement the longest. It's aside from everything else. I used to be a complete modern snob. I had to have all the modern games and whatnot. And now I'm actually leaning towards classics. I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I'll get rid of a couple of these newer games and then bring in some, more 90s stuff. I just picked up a Demolition Man that I have to grab yet again, which I've had before, and a great game. That is sort of task-based in the sense that you're really only looking to do like 4 multi-balls. You got your 4 multi-balls, and then you're getting to the end of the game. There are modes in the game, but it's just kind of like side stuff that you do to add points to your game. So I really feel like really feel like the 90s games it's nostalgia for sure, right? I mean, like Hadi was saying, we all grew up playing these games, and when you're talking about CGC, I think like they're doing it right. Like that is everybody who's played pinball growing up and wants the modern stuff, like that's your sweet spot right there. You're getting the modern bells and whistles, you're getting the toppers, you're getting the LED lighting, you're getting the light shows, you're getting the big screens, all that stuff, but you're also getting the old games and the old code, which is more approachable for everybody. And when people come over here, yes, they are drawn to the new stuff, and it's really, I will say, to be honest with you, it's mostly because of just the LCD screen, right? They see this LCD screen and they're seeing all this awesome video and whatnot. But if you look inside the games, I mean, there's nothing more in the games now than there was back then, and sometimes there's even less, right?
Yeah.
So, with the older games and the less deep of a code, they really had to put more thought into the game, the layout, and how it plays. Whereas now, I mean, you could take a game that has a terrible layout or whatnot, and just change the code until it becomes something that's more playable. Whereas back then, it's like once the game is done, the code is done, there's really no updating it. So they really had to be creative with a lot of the stuff they did in the game, with the limitations they had with the amount of code they could put in the game. So I feel like sweet spot is your Bally Williams, your 90s. The System 11s are okay, but they tend to be more of like and again, this is a tournament sort of competitive person talking. They tend to be more of a one-shot dominated thing to get your score up or whatnot. So so the 90s.
Yeah, and I think people are making comments here. You can't say that about JJP. I mean, I get it. I've had Guns N' Roses here in the house, Hobbit, and Toy Story, and the biggest hurdle that I've experienced with a JJP game is the initial understanding of what to do. There's so much in the game. There's so much to find and do, and there's so many nuances, and the code is incredibly deep and fleshed out. Like I had a great time with all three of those games. Did I have a great time immediately with all three of those games? No. And it took somebody holding my hand or teaching me to find what's so great about those games. It's so much, and that's completely different than Cactus Canyon. I understand they're just completely different spectrums of the game, and I understand I've owned the game, or I've had the game here for 2 weeks, and so in 2 weeks I could say I have seen everything that's in this game, While I understand I did not see everything that was in Guns N' Roses, Toy Story even, or Hobbit, and there's a lot of other games, but the game I had before Cactus Canyon was Bond, and you set those two games next to each other just visually, I mean, it is a night and day difference. You talk about the build quality is a night and day difference. This thing is a tank. It was freaking heavy to get down here. The playfield is immaculate. It is beautiful. It's just, I don't know, I'm impressed by it, but it is this weird thing of and people are even saying in chat it's great, but then you're going to be bored. So I'm really curious to see how I feel about this game over the next 2 weeks. Will I, even though I can beat it, will I be bored of it? And I will tell you, beating the game did not feel like a grind. When I beat Toy Story, there were aspects of the game that did feel like a grind, and it's not a grind I want to do again. So, but this, I'm I'll tell you right now, I'm looking forward to playing it again. But Craig, what are your thoughts, man? I feel like you were taking notes. Or
well,
Mike, did you have
I agree with everything that's been said so far. I think it's a great time in the hobby because there is so much to choose from now, much like video games, and you can choose, really complicated, role-playing stuff, or you can play, Asteroids or Pac-Man, and everything in between. And that's kind of where pinball is got to now as well, I think, where, you have companies like CGC who does it better than nobody does it better than them in terms of producing a game from that golden era of the 90s, like we've been talking about, and doing a reproduction version of that. Now Haggis is onto it with their Fathom, which has been very well received and well built as well. But so I think it's a fascinating time. It was certainly on my mind too, Joel, when I was first getting into the hobby and wondering where, with limited funds, where do you place your dollars? And knowing that a game like Attack from Mars, which I love as well, and I, played a bunch of times, like, wow, should this be the game that I get for my first game? And what I kept coming back to was, am I going to get bored of this game in 2 weeks or in a month or in 2 months and be like, dang, I just spent 10 grand and there it is, now I don't want to play it. So that's why I kept leaning, the more I kept looking into it, I kept leaning into these modern games that do have a more complicated and in-depth rule set. I think that initially is more challenging and is maybe more frustrating to get going on, but the longevity is there, so that you can play these games for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and never finish them, but maybe never get totally bored of them either because of that, or they just frustrate you because they're too hard, like, so it just kind of depends on what you're how deep you're going to go and what level of player you're at. And I think so much of the dialogue in the hobby today too is driven by world-class players that are like 0.5% of the playing public. You know what I mean? And so it's like their opinions and their ideas are kind of dominating and taking center stage, whereas here's Joel, who gets Cactus Canyon, that was kind of I think by the critical pinball world-class playing public were like, it's gonna be okay, but it's like, and then, but it's been really embraced by people because of everything Joel, I think, is saying, because they're realizing that, wow, this game is a great shooter. The rules aren't too complicated. My friends and family actually love it in the first 5 minutes. I might have a chance of finishing it one day. These 2 games behind me, like literally, if I finish either one of them, it will be a miracle on earth. Like, there's no way, right? But I love that, but there's no way. Whereas Joel, you finish that in 2 weeks, and Joel, I would say, is better than average player, but he's not a ranked player by any means, and he was able to focus in on it and eventually get past it, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of those games, and it just kind of depends, if you have a limited budget, where you're going to put your dollars. If I had unlimited money, I would be like, okay, I'm going to have, here's my bank of moderns, here's my bank of 90s Williams, here's my bank of 80s machines. But with a limited budget, that's where you really got to pick and choose. Or if you don't mind turning games, if you get, you can go through the older games and you're like, well, I'll play it for a month, I'm going to get rid of it. And there's lots of people like that out there too. They bring them in, they move them out, right? Well, Mike, you're a perfect example of that too, right? You've gone through 80 games,
and we're definitely gonna talk about it. But I know, like, Neil McRae actually reached out to me because we talked about this on Triple Drain, and he has this amazing arcade. He's got this big barn/shed or whatever, and most of the games you ever see in his background are all Stern. Well, he sent me a picture. He's like, dude, you need to get one. Like, you need to get a CGC game, and he currently has the 4 other CGC games, and he's like, these are the most played games in my collection, and that's because people are like, when anybody else comes, like, those are the ones they're drawn to and the ones that they can relate to immediately. And that's what I'm saying. Like, don't get me wrong, I get plenty of joy out of this hobby playing these complex games and really crunching my, Avengers was one of the ones that I remember, like, having those deep discussions. Maybe it was deep for me, but deep discussions with like Ray Day or Travis, and trying to like understand the code and it all clicking, and it's like, holy crap, there's so much here.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can find joy in that. But I'll tell you right now, like, my sister-in-law will find no joy in that, and will not, can't get there, can't enjoy that. Yeah. So Mike, you've actually challenged me a lot, because when we have these different conversations of, if you could only have 4 pins, like, instead of you, Mike, picking these 4 complicated and super complex pins that keep you and Carter coming back for more, you're actually picking like an older game and this game and this game. And it's like the need for a collection of having differences is what's really started to challenge me, of like, well, maybe the 4 that I have, maybe I do need that. Maybe I do need a game like Godzilla, which has crazy depth that's going to keep me coming back for more, and a modern feel. But then on the other end, I have a TNA, a single level game. And I have maybe a CGC game, something super approachable, but still something I have fun. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's like, if you compared it to, let's say, the video game industry, right? You have, your modern games now where you're talking like your Call of Duties or your, God of War and all these are your modern games, complex, tons of rules, all this stuff. Like if you sat down to play the game, it would take you days to figure it out. Then you have your retro games, right? You have your like Super Mario, your Super Nintendo stuff. That's your older 90s stuff. And when we were talking about like the CGC stuff, like they're modernizing it. They're taking your retro game, updating the graphics or updating, it's like it's almost like two separate experiences really when you're talking about modern games and older games. There's obviously a huge nostalgic feeling about playing them as well, but it's someone was mentioning, JJP has a lot in it. Yeah, they do have a lot in it, but like I was saying, I really feel like a lot of these games are now geared towards like being in someone's house, because a lot of these games, if you go to an arcade and play them, let's say Toy Story or even, Wizard of Oz or whatever, you're never going to get that full experience from that game unless you put, hundreds of dollars into the game at the arcade. You're never going to get the sounds, any of that stuff. The older games are more approachable. You can tell basically what you need to do.
Oh yeah.
Almost right away when you stand in front of like a Bolly Williams, DMD game or an older 90s game. You can look at the game, read the card. Okay, this is what I need to do. And you just have fun doing it. Whereas, you look at Rush, which is a fantastic game. Don't get me wrong. It's amazing, but
the code
it's
sucks,
like
right?
the code sucks. But I mean, you walk up to the game and I mean, there's still things I don't even know in the game. I've had it for over a year, right? So being in an arcade, if I go to the arcade once a week, I will never, ever learn how to play Rush properly in that sort of environment. So
I totally get it. And to comment on your video games, I will tell you, like recently, Metroid Prime, which was a GameCube game, just came out with a remake on the Switch, which I'm stoked for because they took a great game, an older game, and only made it look better.
Exactly.
And then another one, my daughter and I just played through Zelda Link's Awakening, which was a Game Boy game that I played the crap out of, and now it's like a brand new skin on it. It's beautiful with some improved things, and that's what I'm seeing with these CGC games. Like, and maybe I'm just super late to this party. Maybe that's just it. People have known this for years.
Yeah, no.
But it's taking these really great games and bringing them into the modern world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
and I think too, the only thing about CGC is the frustration with them is that they're just not putting them out fast enough.
Too
I
slow,
think
man.
everyone
Yep.
would love for them to up their production speed so that either they could move on to a new title or they could just produce more of them to fill, I think, a growing demand, Joel. Because I think the more they put out, the more people realize too. And Cactus Canyon was a great example where not a lot of people knew about that game because it wasn't, there weren't a lot of them out there in arcades. Back in the day, and so a lot of people hadn't experienced it. So this is like it's interesting because it's an older game that people haven't necessarily played ever. And they're realizing, holy geez, this game was actually fun.
Yeah.
Despite what all the professional pinball players are saying, that it's kind of like, so-so. It's actually pretty damn cool. And CGC has made it even cooler with the topper, with the colored DMD. It's in the back, the light kits and things that they put on it to kind of fancy it up a little bit and put a little spin on it. And possibly even new code like we're talking about. And so, with that Lyman Sheets rumored code that's still in development, boy, if they bring that out, won't that take things to another level as well, hopefully. I don't see how it can't, but I think that'll really add again another experience and just breathe more life into these games. Like Joel, like you finished in 2 weeks. Well, maybe that Lyman code might take you, another 2 to 6 months. Like,
so
who knows, right?
2 comments to that. First off, Pinball Eddie, CGC could probably make these indefinitely. I totally agree. You look at Stern and what Stern doing and the fact that they are just keep rolling through the titles as they are popular. Like the exact opposite of those, no offense, but like American Pinball, like nobody wants Houdini anymore or Oktoberfest.
Really?
Like maybe they do.
There's one problem with that though. I mean, yes, they could keep making them, but they're going to run out of titles eventually. Yes, there's tons of titles, but hear me out when I say this. Are they ever going to remake like a Jackbot? No. You know why? Because you can get a Jackbot for $4,000 US.
True.
They're not going to remake a Jackbot that you're going to pay $8,000 to $9,000 to $10,000 for.
But no,
when you can get them, they're only going to do Circus Voltaire, Twilight Zone, Whitewater, like all the high end ones, because
I think I communicated it wrong. What I was saying is they could rerun Medieval Madness, Attack from Mars, and Monster Bash.
Yes.
Every year. Like, what do we care about right now? We care about the Stern production lines, and it's like, oh, Deadpool's here, and this is there, and boom, boom, boom. So if we knew CGC's like, hey, we're gonna focus on Cactus Canyon till March, then we have our untitled game, and we're gonna do 2 months, and then we're gonna do a run of Monster Bash, and then we're gonna do a run of this. Like, you know, if they said that, you know, Zach or any other distributor would be getting calls today, like, get me on the list for the next Monster Bash.
Yeah.
Like, and that, I don't know why they don't do that, because it's not like the license, the license doesn't expire like these modern things of having to renew it every 3 years. They're just paying Planetary Pinball every time they build it. I don't know why they're going to do it.
I think they could. Definitely,
they absolutely could.
Yeah.
I'm not a businessman wise. I don't know why.
And all those games are in the top 10 of the Pinside top, like the top.
Is that why their
right?
QA is so good? Because they don't have this huge production line. They can.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Them that
I told Zach, I talked to him on the phone today, and I was like, the build quality on this thing makes me feel like it was built by one person. It makes me feel like it's like, here's your little pod, build a game, and it's just it's so well built. And that's the thing that might actually hurt them, though. I mean, there's a reason Stern can pump out 50 games a day, but they also hire like 200 something people. Like, I don't think CGC is anywhere close to that from a production standpoint. You're
not getting cheap coil stops with CGC. You're getting, prime parts.
It's tough. It's a tough thing. But the other comment I want to make before we move on is there are like Cactus Canyon, there are moments that I feel like a novice can enjoy. Like when you get to, multi-ball is always a moment, but like Showdown, which is after you hit the 4 targets, like that's something that even a normal kind of intermediate to novice player should be able to get to. There are some really cool modes in some of these modern games that no novice will ever see. And a perfect example of that is Avengers. Avengers, when you get to the Soul Gym mode, that mode is so much fun. And I remember multiple times having a friend or family member come over, and I would play, get to that mode, and then get off to let them play it. And so I do applaud Stern that they're now starting to do these challenge modes, because like in Godzilla, to be honest, like Terror of Mechagodzilla, and there's the other one, Monster Zero. Like, I've only seen those modes a handful of times. And I'm not a bad player. Maybe that's telling me I'm a bad player, but I'm not a bad player. And these are some amazing modes that I feel are slightly out of my, like, to get to, And so I applaud Stern that they're now bringing some of these in with challenge modes, but I would love co-op, because that would allow me to get deeper in the game. And that was something I felt so bad when I had Rush here, is it's like, I feel like I'm not a good enough player to enjoy the code that's in this game. It's all there. I just can't get far enough in the game to do it. I understand the rule. I could make a 10-ball game. I could do that. But it's just, those are, to me, it's how do you, as a coder, and I don't envy coders because I don't know the perfect balance there, but you gotta have those fun things accessible to a lot of people, but then also have stuff in the game that keeps people wanting to dive deeper.
And you say that, Joel, too, about making it a 10-ball game. I actually had to do that with Avengers for a period of time, because I was stuck on that game and I couldn't get past a certain point. I'm like, this is no fun anymore. Like, I cannot get past a certain point. So it wasn't until I actually made it, a 5-ball game, and actually allowed me to get a little further. It upped the fun level, and I actually learned about how to get there when I went back down to 3-ball. I'm like, okay, here's what I really need to do and focus on in order to get to where I was playing on a 5-ball game. So I think, again, with these machines, these modern machines allow for a lot of flexibility too, in terms of how you're enjoying them. And it's important that you don't get too, again, focused on, it only has to be a 3-ball game, and I have to do it this way. I can never reset. I gotta be, you know what I mean? And you kind of get honed in at a certain way, and there's tons of flexibility in terms of how you can set these things up as well to make them a little more approachable, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you have the outlane post, right? Usually there's like 3 different areas you can move those posts.
Yeah.
That helps a game. That actually helps a game quite immensely for difficulty as well. Moving just those posts as well can make a game
for sure.
Like, and Joel, my family's the same way. Like, my family will not play these games because they just say they're too hard and they're not fun, right? So right off the bat, like, I thought when I brought in Godzilla, I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun for everybody. Literally one game, and they're like, it's too hard, right?
I get it.
Because they're too hard, right? And there's not enough there to draw in the people. So I totally get what you mean about some of these simpler games are a little more family friendly, average person off the street friendly, and you have to consider it considering the amount of money that you're spending that's sitting there. And is this going to be something that only I enjoy and I said yes.
Well, yeah, I know there's plenty of people
that consider that.
Yeah.
You do have to consider that, right? That this is like going to be my machine.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I was like, well, I better damn well enjoy it, because if I'm not enjoying it, nobody's going to, right? So
I totally get it. And Luke has an interesting idea here, keeping two sets of SD cards, one with easier settings, and so you have people over, you stick that card in, then you put it back.
It's a great idea.
That's why I complain with the posts. Moving the post is a pain. But
it is a major pain.
Yeah, when I borrowed Stranger Things, they were initially shipped wide open, and I ended up moving them to the middle because I was like, I want to see part of it. I want to actually see the game here.
Yeah.
And I totally get it. But this just brings me back in. The longer I've been in this hobby, you really start to see different things, and you start to get drawn to different types of rules or code sets that you like more than others. And I mean, theoretically, if we're going to play this task-based wizard mode, like on Turtles, Cowabunga is a task-based wizard mode. You have to do all the modes. You have to do a weapon. You have to do crane combo. But no, it's more like you got to do all the modes and then this. It's like it's basically do all the modes and then do everything else. And that's where, I know, to get to the ultimate wizard mode in Jurassic Park, it's the same thing. Get through the paddocks, do all of this, and then do this. And so I get it.
Walking Dead is another good example of the task base, right? Because you do have to do all your modes, and then you have to collect your weapons and all these other things, and then you get sort of checkpoints as you're going along. It says, "Oh, okay, you've gotten this far now. All right, well, I'm going to throw you a little bone, and I'm going to give you a mini wizard mode that you can play." And then but that's Lyman code, right? Batman 66 is, I guess you could call it sort of like that. You have your different seasons, and you have to play a different mode from each season. And then you can do a little wizard mode there, and then you do your villains, and then you can, I don't know that it's necessarily task-based or more sort of mode-based, but...
Jobber comes in here. I prefer a macro wizard. Yeah, it's just always with the dingers. Well done. Pinball Eddie, yeah, I'm the main player, and exactly, yeah, what the wife puts up, and I know I've had this conversation with many of my friends, and they're like, at the end of the day, I buy games for me. That's what they care. I buy games for me because you're going to be the one that plays them 98% of the time. I get that, but there's still an appeal. I will just tell you the actual joy that came to me when I come downstairs and there are already people playing the games.
Love it.
And to see, I came down, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and their son came over. They got here about 4:30. I had to work till 5. So I came down here. We have a little bounce house. The kids are doing that. And to see my brother-in-law just standing there playing at Cactus Canyon, he turned it on. He played it like that. It's just like, yes. And I feel
it must have been how Jesus felt when he first came to church and there was actually people there.
That's right. Yeah. But I get that feeling. I love that, my parents now have turtles, and to see, my nephew playing turtles when I get over there and stuff. So it's awesome. But at the same time, I know I feel bad because my parents have turtles. I knew it's a hard game, but my dad isn't frustrated by draining. My dad's frustrated because he just still hasn't wrapped his head around what to do. And even though it's ramp, turtle van, that's how you start an episode. The yellow lights are the episode. You think that's simple. It's not simple.
It's not what he grew up playing too. I mean, if he was into pinball, modes are almost like a foreign thing for an older person who's been into pinball. But like as far as, seeing people play, I love having people over and just watching people having fun playing my games, or like my kids, when they come down here, and then you hear all the games going, all the flippers going. I'm always down here when they're doing that and taking pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I have games that Lisa, like my wife, she has full say in whether they get sold or not. Like I can't, this jackpot, I have no say. I have no say in our Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
There's about 4 games that I have to ask her for permission if we can sell them. And those are games that I originally bought, because I wanted them. And then she just fell in love with them. Awesome. And it was like, oh, you can't sell this game anymore. So
yeah, that's awesome. I'm pretty sure the other 3 of us, if we told our wives, are you okay if I sold, they would just say yes. They don't care.
I don't care what you do.
They don't care. Yeah. No, it's awesome. It's awesome, Mike. And I will tell you, my wife actually played, she actually played the machines the other night, and I was playing one game, and she played, in that amount of time, she played Deadpool and Godzilla. She doesn't have patience to like play them with me.
Yeah.
So she's like, I really like this game. And she points to Deadpool. It's like, this is the one with the cool magnet, right? I was like, no, there's no magnets in Deadpool. And she's like, oh, there's Godzilla then. And she's like, I really like the magnet in that. And she goes, you know what I like best about Deadpool? I said, what? She said, I like that the flippers, you can see through them because I have the halos. I have the metal flippers on them. So her favorite thing with Deadpool is the fact that she can see through them. But anyway, so I think this is a good transition. The transition here, it's a simple question. And Hadi, I really want to hear your opinion, but I know you don't have one. And that is, when is the appropriate time to sell the game? Like when is it? We've talked about all these, and so many people in chat here, you get a game and you start to get drawn, and you find what you like about pinball. You find the designers you like. You find the rules and the codes that you like. So even though everybody's saying, this is, you're looking at Pinside, oh, this is the number 4 ranked game. Well, I gotta love it, right? I'm not like, so when is it? And maybe we start with Hadi. Like, Hadi, of your collection, have you thought about selling a game, or do you have that list of once that line's filled up, which one's the first to go? What?
It's such a it's a good transition, because it's such a after this discussion, such a fine line to curate your collection towards what you like and what you want others to enjoy, as far as seeing the same enjoyment that you get. If somebody comes in and plays one of my pins, we had some people over and they were really drawn to Stranger Things, obviously, because it's a popular license. It made me happy. It just made me happy that they're getting that same pleasure. So as far as selling my pins, I have thought about, okay, I am going to run out of space. If Venom is coming, I'm getting Venom. Like, that's another one that's being added. So then I have room for maybe 2 more. And then if I get creative, I can shift around for one more. But if I had to sell one, it would probably be Black Knight first, just because I'm a big fan of the Elwynds. And Stranger Things was a really like a grail of mine, because every time I played it on location, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's very
right now everything's bolted. I don't plan on ever selling anything. I don't have to. My wife is looking for properties where, if we decide to move, where it has a separate building, like a pin barn, because she knows that I want the space. I would love to have a wall where it has a couple System 11s and some EMs. So one day, financially, if it's feasible, it would be nice to have some variety in the collection. But right now, if you gun to my head, it would be Black Knight, but only because
I asked the silly question.
The other ones, the other ones are just the AIQ is like a dream theme of mine. I love Thanos is one of my favorite characters. So the whole Infinity Quest saga has always been something I've been drawn to. Godzilla, theme-wise, it didn't speak to me, but as a shooter, it's amazing. It's my favorite pin right now. And Stranger Things is just, it's fun, and I can see other people enjoying it. Black Knight is, for me personally, it's my pin, because I really enjoy the series, the trilogy itself. I love the shots. I love how brutal it is. I love the boss animations on the LCD. I think it reminds me of like those old school RPGs, Diablo. The characters in it, and it's just a ton of fun. So, and it's got the best topper still to this date.
Yeah.
But I would not want to I'm not getting rid of anything. But if I had to get rid of one, it would probably be Black Knight, begrudgingly, just because the other three are just more personal favorites.
Yeah, and it's great that, I mean, you're still relatively new to the hobby, but luckily you've bought games that you've really enjoyed.
Yeah, no,
They're good games. The four that you have.
I played Black Knight at a tourney, my first ever pinball tourney, and I had no clue it existed. And he had an amazing collection, like 30 pins, all really nice. He had AIQ, he had Led Zeppelin at the time, Indiana Jones, a lot of stuff I'd never played before other than virtually. And man, it was Black Knight. I saw that and I was like, I need to get this one day. And luckily, a guy gave it to me at a really good price, so I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, it's a yeah. I don't blame you at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in chat here, so Pinball Eddie said, if you haven't played it in a month or so, and when you play it, you don't feel the magic, then when I bought it, and most importantly, the wife or family doesn't really play it, then it's gone. Like yes, and I think we can definitely talk about that more. But before I get to you, Mike, because you're the most experienced, Craig, I know you have never sold a game. You've only had 2, but what are your thoughts on this?
Well,
question?
I'm just getting to the point now with Avengers where I have gone back and forth a little bit after playing Godzilla, and I am realizing how fun Godzilla is versus the Avengers. Not that Avengers is a bad game by any means, but it's just so much. Godzilla is just so it does all the things I think that unfortunately Avengers doesn't do, which is it's slightly more accessible. The video assets are there on Godzilla, which are very entertaining. So there's a humor element that Avengers doesn't have. I think the shots are actually better on Godzilla overall. It's a smoother playing game. There's just more in it. I think it really is. I think the one of the greatest games that's been created, just because it does so many of these things so well. And the art package is great on it as well. But so when I have a limited amount of space, and you can see, like, my ceilings are quite low, I've got a limited amount of space down here, I could fit a third one in somewhere, which was sort of my thought, was I was going to go 3 or 4. But I'm thinking, again, just short term here, as we wait for more rushes to become available in Canada. How much am I playing this game? Because that's what it's really starting to come down to with me. And I love the Avengers for a lot of reasons. I put, again, it was the first machine. I put a ton of time into getting to know it, modding it, working on it. So for that reason alone, I'm a little bit hesitant to sell it, just because, there's a lot of just nostalgia there right there for me personally, and entering the hobby again. But there's so much money there that I think, Rush, honestly, as a music pin, it is one of my dream themes as well. And I'm just looking at it going, if I'm not playing it a lot, is this money better spent somewhere else? Where I've got 2 solid machines where I'm like back and forth between them. These are definitely, dream themes for me. So that's sort of my current thought. I obviously it's still here, so I haven't done it. I think one of the things that I'm hesitating about as well is just the pain in the ass of selling these things as well, and the challenge of the physicality of it, to get it out, to get it in someone's vehicle, the dollar value that are exchanging hands, that makes me a little bit nervous as well. The transactional element of it. This isn't like a $200 item that you're selling, like a PlayStation or something like that. These are, many generally, this game, I'm probably going to try and sell it for $12,000 or $13,000. That's like a freaking car, so that makes me a little bit nervous too. And I want it to be easy. So anyway, I'm wrestling with all these things, which again is delaying me a little bit into doing it. Like, it would be great if someone just kind of appeared out of the blue and they're like, oh yeah, I'll buy that from you, no problem, and here's your money, and
well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it can't happen that way.
Yeah, side comment on that is if possible, shoot for trade. Try to trade first.
Yes.
Just because then you both have something in the, you have both stakes in the game, and trade plus or minus. If you can do that, or but I get it. This is everybody that's listening to this, this is a dumb hobby. Like, this is such a dumb hobby that we're all stuck in. Think about the number of video games we could buy with the amount of money we have in these games.
God.
And the fact that you could play a game, and even if you buy a $40, $50, $60 game, and if you get 3 hours into it, you're like, nah, whatever. You take it, you put it on your shelf, and you move on with your life. You don't have to worry about, like, do I keep it? Do I stress it? Haven't I played with it enough? Like, it's such a dumb hobby, but it's so great. Like, it's so great. But it is the process of moving them and everything about it is a pain. But clearly, there's something about it that's worth it. That's worth it.
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not Mike. I'm gonna get to you, but I'll say my little bit on when is it time to sell a game. And I will tell you, when I finished my basement, I wired this wall with outlets so they're controlled with a light switch. So when I come down to play pinball, I flip on a light switch and all the games go on. All 4 games go on.
Damn, that's amazing.
So my mind, when I turn all 4 games on, if I find there's a game that I'm not playing, like, I have no excuse. I don't have to wait on the game to boot up. The game's on. All I have to do is step aside and hit start. Like, and if I find myself consistently not playing that game, that's when it's starting to pop into my head, like, what are you doing? Like, why this game's not being played? Who's it for then? Am I not playing the game because that's the game? Like, to be honest, there was a time where TNA, like, I wasn't playing TNA that often, but in my mind, I was like, I've sold it before. I know I'll regret it. Why do I have this game? I have this game because when other people come over, we can play it together. But I personally wasn't playing it much. And then something changed, and it was when I was having these games like Godzilla where you're getting deep in a game and then you're done and you're like, oh, like, I don't want to think, but I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to stop. Like, boom, TNA is like the perfect game to just step up to. And I'm assuming, Mike, you have games in your collection like that. Like, I just want to step over here, clear my brain, and just play. Like, 8 Ball Deluxe is the perfect game for that. Like,
that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I just want to play pinball, you know. And I found that same with we have a mini fridge down here, and so all the sodas are down here. So it's like I come down to get one, and it's like, nah, I'm gonna play. Like, I want to play something quick. So that mentality changed, but that's when I've noticed that, and I've noticed that with games that I've borrowed from Zach, where it's like I genuinely don't touch the game unless I have to stream it, just because it's like I am not enjoying this game. But yeah, I will say it's just that's kind of where I'm at. And to be honest, of the games I currently have, like, the game that gets played the least is probably Deadpool. And it's not that it's a bad game. It's just I find myself, like, the last few weeks, I'll come down here, I'll put a few games on Cactus Canyon. If I get frustrated, where do I go after that? Straight to Godzilla. Like, Godzilla's where, like, that's the, like, okay, I've been beaten down. Like, I'm frustrated. I've been beaten down. What's going to bring me back up? It's not Jurassic Park. No offense to all the people like Jurassic Park. It's not Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park's only going to kick me even harder. I'm already down. I don't need kicked more. But where do I go? I just walk right over to Godzilla, and I'm immediately just, like, loving it, you know? So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at right now. I still freaking love Deadpool, but I do know with it. And what's crazy is with value, right? This game just became a $9,800 game because that's what they're selling for new. Like, the value just keeps going up. So now all of a sudden, if I could sell this straight up for this, like, becomes more appealing. I don't know. It's weird, but that's where I am. Where if you find yourself not playing it, like, that alone is my reason.
Yeah.
But okay, so now we're going to the. So Mike, finally, you said 80 games you've had in and out of your basement. So what's your methodology on this?
So since about 2017, I've had, including the games that are in here now, I've had about 80 games in the basement at one point or another. Not all together, obviously. There's a lot of different reasons to sell a game. So for me, we have a lot of turnaround in the basement, in the bunker, whatever you want to call it. When I first sort of got into the hobby, it was like buying pinball machines and learning that there's competitive pinball all at the same time. So I was sort of, I would go and I would see pinball machines at, the bowling alley or the arcade, and I'd always be playing the pinball machines. But there was a period of time where where for years there were lots of games that I never got to play, I never learned. So I wanted to learn as many games as I could, because if I played in a tournament, then I'd know what to do. So a lot of the reason why I sold a number of the games that I have was because I bought it just because I wanted to learn the rules, get good at the game, and then move on, bring the next one in. So I did that quite a bit. So one of the main reasons why I sold a game was buying it, learning it, selling it. I mean, obviously, if you get bored of a game, you're going to sell it. You know, I feel like generally, for the most part, when you get to a point where the game feels like it's work as opposed to fun, that's when you're going to sell the game, right? You're going to walk up to a game and you're like, oh, do I really want to go through all this to try and get to the, you know, then you're like, okay, well, I think it's time for this game to go. I mean, realistically, if we had unlimited space and unlimited resources, would we ever sell any of our games? Never.
No,
I don't
no.
think so. I don't think so. I know I wouldn't. I would keep everything I could if I had, you know, the space and the resources. But you know, some of the other reasons why you sell a game, like I've bought games where I've known within the first week that this game is not staying very long. I know already that this game is not for me, not for, you know, my family, whatever. I also like, I have a lot of friends that have games. We go to other people's houses, they come to our house, whatnot. I also like to have games that people don't get to play at other places, right? I want them to come to my house and be like, oh, wow, he's got this game. No one has this game. Like Black Knight, for example. No one I know has a Black Knight. You know, no one I know has a Jackpot. Like there's, you know, one of the reasons why I have certain games that I do is because nobody else in the pinball community locally has one. And I like to have that because I like having people over and I like them to be able to play the games that, you know, they don't normally get to play. We don't have very many games. We don't have very many games on location here where I live. So it's nice to have a variety of games to play. So I typically like to, like Black Knight, for example, that game is frustrating beyond belief. I will, you know, tell you that for sure. It's super hard to play. There's not a lot to it. Not a lot of people like it. Like nobody in this house other than me likes the game. But nowhere else can anybody play it. So I sort of have an attachment to it because I don't think I'll ever get it again. And I don't think anybody I know is ever going to get one. So it's hard for me to let go of a game that nobody else has. And I don't know. I love having people over playing my games and seeing them happy and playing them. And I think like a lot of the older games, I always think, well, it's going to be hard to get this game again. So I don't really want to sell it. Yeah. Like you can get a Rush, you can get a Godzilla. Well, I mean, you technically can get all these games. They're still making them, right? Yeah. So I have less of an attachment to those. So those typically go in and out more often. But the older games, like I don't know that I would ever get a Jackpot again. I have some regrets. I regret selling my Twilight Zone. I regret selling, and all the games that I regret selling are games that I'm never going to get back again, or will have a harder time getting back. So it really becomes, you know, availability, also market value too, right? Like, I mean, I'll be honest with you, every game in my collection is for sale for the right price, right? So I mean, you know, I mean, really, I mean, if somebody offered me a ridiculous amount of money for, you know, Black Knight, then I'm going to take it. So it really becomes down to market value, desirability, and then obviously, you know, is the game still fun to play or is it work? For me, if it's work, then I'm putting it up for trade, and I always put my games up for trade or sale. I never really typically put a game up just for sale. I'm always looking to bring something in, whether it's, you know, trading down and getting cash on top or adding cash to get another game in. Typically, when I sell a game, it's always to bring another game in. It's not for any other reason other than to fill the spot with something else and something new to play.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. All very, very good points. And that's, I think it's funny before, like I have a Chulix cabinet. It's a knockoff Vulix cabinet, and it's like I have an arcade cabinet, and I've told myself so many times, like that I could fit another pin right there, like right there. I'm pointing because it's right on the other side of this rig, but I keep it because the arcade cabinet's what everybody, like all the kids play when they come over. So it's like I can sacrifice that for them. Like that's fine. But there was a time before that I had built this main machine that was in a big Golden Tee cabinet, and it had everything. And it had a trackball, and it had Simpsons bowling. And I remember when I sold that main machine, my niece was like, "Hey, where's that game?" Because that was the one, like, she loves Simpsons bowling, and she still makes comments about it of like, she's like, "Yeah, well, when you sold Simpsons Bowling, it's like the one thing I had. It's like I have so much joy and excitement down there, and you're stuck on one thing." So I understand. It sucks that I assume, Mike, there are games that if you sold whatever, Lisa would never let you forget about it, or some of your other friends would be upset that it's gone. But I like that uniqueness. I like I feel that with TNA, that it is a unique game that's really not routed anywhere. Don't control your big meanie. Yes, I know. But it's weird though, because the other side of that, like all four of us own Godzilla, and that's going to be everywhere for always, but it's just that game's so good that you like you want it for yourself. So
that's for me. I don't care if you don't like the game.
Yeah, I know I can go do that. But I want to play it whenever I want. It's that good. Charles, off to bed. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for being here tonight.
But there's also the thought. Well, I've been told several times, even me and Carter, I'll talk to a friend and say, "Hey, look, I have an opportunity to get this game." And there, a lot of the times, especially with the older games, they're like, "Oh, you're going to get bored of it really quick. Oh, great game, but you're going to get bored of it. You're going to get bored of it." But for me, it's like a lot of people say, "Okay, well, I've gotten to the end of the game. I've beaten it. I've gotten to the wizard mode. I'm good. I'm going to sell the game." I have plenty of games that I've had. Oh, excuse me. I have. Let me fix that. Sorry. I have had plenty of games that I've had that. I get to the end, like I can get to the end on,
well, you have Guardians.
Guardians. Yeah. But it's so fun. Yeah. It's so fun to do. So that's where I'm saying, that doesn't feel like work. I love going through that game over and over again and trying out the different strategies with multipliers and whatnot. And I really think that enhances the longevity of whether you're keeping a game in your collection or not. It's just, if you have a game that strictly do this, you get this wizard mode, this is how many points you get for it, and then you play the game again, and then you do this, you get to the wizard mode, and this is how many points you get for it. Yeah. It's going to get boring. It's going to feel like work. But a game, with multipliers, that sort of stuff that you can experiment with and try and achieve higher points every time you play this mode or get to the end or whatever. That's a game that has longevity for me, and that's just me specifically. I mean, some people may not like that kind of aspect of a game, but
well, and KO Spectate brings up a great point, which is depending on how many games you have, because you'll get bored of one. And I totally like there was a good period where all I had was one game, and there was a year plus where I had Hobbit. There was a year that I had just Toy Story, and like Hobbit I loved, and this is kind of another random, not to go back down that trail, but like Hobbit, the wizard modes in Hobbit are insane. They're so great, but I know none of my friends and family ever saw them. And that to me is like, why JJP doesn't have challenge modes. Like, just give me the ability to go straight to that wizard mode. Not because I want to, I want my friend to experience it. I want like, here, let me start. We're going to start you right in this. Here you go. Boom. And just like, just take it all in. But anyways, like a 1-pin household is tough. And I know, it really just comes down to attention span. Like, let's say one of us is going to play pinball for an hour or 2 hours. 2 hours in Mike's basement is a lot different than 2 hours in Craig's. And that's not one better than the other, but it's like, you could walk up to whatever Rush, it could kick you in the balls in 2 minutes and you'd be like, whatever. And you just step over to the next game and you keep working your way around. And what do you need? I just had this epic game on Guardians that I played for 45 minutes. Now I'm going to step over to 8-Ball Deluxe and play it for 10, but it's just clear my mind and let me go have some Congo fun and this and boom, boom, boom. Like, that's great. But I get it, Craig. Like, you're going to have a mental workout with Avengers. And then you're going to be like, all right, well, let me go over here to Godzilla and just like love life, for a while. And okay, do I
still have a mental workout though?
But still it's a workout. And then it's like, okay, I just had a great game on Godzilla for 30 minutes. Am I ready for that mental workout again or it's like, probably not. And you're going to turn the games off and go upstairs. And that's hard. And I get if you replaced your 2 games with 2 at 8-Ball Deluxe and a CGC game, like you don't want to go down there and be like, well, I beat that and I beat that and I still want to play pinball, but I just don't want to beat him again. Like I get that. I think finding that right. Hadi, you had mentioned it earlier. Curating your collection is
it's a fine line.
It's a fine line, and it all depends on what you can fit, what you can afford, and it's going to be unique for every individual.
Yeah, because I've noticed with my virtual pin, it allows me access to so many different pins, and I can see if I like the rule set. But I found that I've beaten a couple that I like. I beat Toten. Toten was a great experience. Amazing wizard mode because it's really not easy.
Yeah.
But I know now if I ever get what's a beautiful pin in a classic, but I don't, it sort of, I'm kind of done with it. There's not enough there for me to want to continue pursuing ownership of it. And I think I love the Elwins and the complex ones because it's going to take me a long time, if ever, to get to that end. And even with modern ones, I beat Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think that one's different because, like Mike said, it's really fun. I beat it, but it sort of took that desire for me to, I really want to get this. Like, I'd really like to own this pin. Now that I've beaten it, I'm kind of like, well, I can wait. I'll try to find something else to maybe take its place until I have the space to add it. So it's hard, but it's a fun problem to have, I guess.
Well, I will say on pin side, there are 2 threads that I freaking love. And there's one that it's like, if you could have a 3-pin collection, what pins would you have? And then there's one that if you could have a 5-pin collections, what pins would you have? And I don't know if somebody's gone bigger than that. There may be another thread, but it's just, I love reading that because, to be honest, like I think my 3-pin collection may not, all 3 of those pins may not be part of the 5-pin collection, like it's, that's the kind of thing that's a challenge. But I don't know. I will just tell you, anybody that's getting into this hobby or in this hobby, this is a problem you are going to have forever. Like, that's part of me almost wishes, not that I want to be done, but it's like, if all pinball just stopped right now, like that would be awesome because then I can just focus on what's available and figure out my collection. But as of right now, it's like there's, on top of everything that's currently available, there's always the what if, or what's coming that could just blow us out of the water.
The whole thing out of the water.
And then, Godzilla, nobody out of the 4 of us, Godzilla was not a dream team for any of us. But that game came out of and it disrupted everything. It disrupted everything. Just like, crap.
Compare that launch to the James Bond launch, man. It is like night and day as far as just popularity and anticipation. And if you want another good discussion, check out the replay of when we did favorite designers and favorite games from them, because that will also give you, I'm talking about TPN and Joel's flipping out with friends. If you can find that on YouTube, go look at that, because that's a good way to start and figure out, okay, what is the best of the best for these designers? And that may help you find one of the pins that you have if you have limited space that you want.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Conti, I literally think about collection changes every day. I think everybody does. I think everybody that's in this collection. Yeah. So King Henry, Alien, Medieval Madness, Johnny Mnemonic, Mando, High Speed, top 5 in my 22 collection. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome. That 22 pins. Congrats on that. But I think like Johnny Mnemonic is one of your top 5. Like, for some people hate that game. Other people love it, and I get that. And it just everybody's unique. And I'm having to like I said, I'm having to remind myself of this all the time, because I'm just like Jurassic Park. I'm not connecting to that game like so many other people have. And I don't necessarily, I don't know. It is what it is.
When did you get that game, Joel?
I traded. I'm borrowing it. It's like I traded a buddy of mine here in the area for TNA, and we're just doing a little swap. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, you're not connecting with it. Yeah.
904 Deadpool's top 5. Yeah, I mean, fantastic game. But I know too. I leave a slot because I stream games for Zach. So whenever I decide to stop streaming and that's gone, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I got an opening now, and I got to find one more that'll fit my collection. So
that's
and
the
I
great
think
thing.
too. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Mike. That's the great thing about pinball is like, like ratings are subjective.
Yeah.
It's just like movies, right? You have your own opinions on what type of games you like. I like Guardians because I like the multipliers. I like the way you do. Well, you may not like that, right? So it's really hard to say, oh, well, that game was very, rated very low. It's not a good game or whatnot. It's really, really, really based on your opinion, what you like, and, your style of game. For example, going back to, again, Black Knight. Not a lot of people like that game, but I love it. It's really an opinion. It's an individual opinion, and it's hard to when you look at Pinside and whatnot, and not the top games. I mean, the top games are the top games. We all know they're fantastic, but when you get down to like the lower games, right? The 100s or the 150, the 200s, that's where people perceive, oh, well, that's not a good game. It's like, well, you really need to play the game and find out for yourself, because there are some really, really fantastic games that are overlooked because of ratings that some people give because they don't like it. Play the game for yourself. See if you like it, because it could be a game like Johnny Mnemonic that is never leaving your collection.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, but there are some games that are universally panned, like Dominoes. So, Hadi, I know you want Dominoes, but it's just
I still really want it. I'm begging, if you are going to TPF and you own it, please bring it to TPF. I am dying to play it. I watched the streams of it, and there's something about it. I know I read the Pinside thread. The code isn't finished. It will never get finished. But there's something about the Noid that I've always loved. I want Dominoes. I want that era. It looks like that old school era of Pin, but Lebowski's probably the thing that I'm probably going to end up.
So Big Lebowski, we went to, I think I've mentioned this before, went to a bar, Rec Room, I think it was, down in Louisville, ton of games. And my wife and I were there, and Big Lebowski was the game that stood out to her. Like, she really had a ton of fun on it.
If this Stranger Things wasn't here, I would either have a Lebowski or a Jurassic Park right now.
Yeah.
I would say Lebowski is like, it's the rule set is like your Bolly Williams. It's totally like a modern Bolly Williams game.
Yeah.
When I played it, the one thing that I kept feeling was like, wow, this feels like a Bolly Williams DMD. The rules, everything, the structure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now it's expensive.
Yeah.
But it felt like it though. It was really good.
Yeah.
And the updated code is just, everybody's raving about it, the wizard mode, and I don't know, man. Just theme integration I'm really starting to realize how important it is for me. But man, it's one of the best at it.
Yeah, and G Money here. Then there's other great playing pins destroyed by horrible themes like Dialed In. That's a great point. Yeah. That's one of those. I've had a lot of fun on Dialed In, but I know I was with my family at Indiana Beach, and they have an amazing pinball collection, and I was having a great time on Dialed In, and nobody else connected to it at all, because they're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and it's like, oh, but this game, like, just it shoots so well. But I don't know. Well, we can try to not wrap up here, but we do have a few other things to discuss. Fantastic conversation, by the way, guys. Fantastic conversation. Hopefully everybody else is enjoying it. But yeah, I do want to show this because I'm curious if some of the viewers.
Oh God, no signal.
Yeah, what's going on? Why is that not showing?
Is Travis joining the show?
The blackness.
What's going on here? What main display? Yes. Just talk there it goes. What the heck? I just had to click it. Sweet. Okay, so this is new. And I'm curious what people's thoughts are of this. It's at Jack Bar, so if you happen to be in New York, feel free to go to Jack Bar. But it's a new monitor. So these people, I mean, look, it's just a big freaking huge monitor for a
for any Stern Spike 2, right, Joel?
Yeah.
If you look at my picture, if you notice, there's a little bit of space at the bottom, and then at the top there's another inch with a lock. And so what they did is they made it bigger. They moved the lock over to the side, and by making it bigger and wider, they had to make the speakers smaller. So they transitioned to like instead of a circular speaker, it's like an oval speaker. So I'll show some of the pictures here. So I don't like that none of these pictures actually show just like a normal game next to it, because I'm curious. Well, that you can kind of see it there. So like over here, that's a normal screen. So we're going from that to that big boy. I don't know.
It's interesting. I think this is a preview of what Spike 3 may incorporate as far as bigger LCDs, because the jump from Spike what did I just say? Spike 1 to Spike 2, the LCD really brought a lot of creativity as far as new animations you could see, and more bringing in that modern era of screens just to pinball. And so this is I think it's a great mod. The added 3 inches for the price, I don't know.
$600, right? Was that it?
Yeah, it's tough because you're looking at that screen less than you think when you're playing. If you're really into the game, you get a break when you start the battle and you're picking. When you're choosing an option on these modern Sterns, that's when you're looking at the screen. I don't get to see every cutscene as I'm hitting a shot. So there's another mod where it puts a small LCD screen on the apron. So that's actually more that you see it in front of you and you're actually looking at it because it's in your line of view. But this one's tough. I like the idea. I just don't know if I want to jump on this before we see what Spike 3 brings.
So I agree. I will tell you right now, if the next Stern release was Spike 3, or when I interviewed Gomez said, hey, we're actually looking at redesigning the cabinet, right? So he said that. So if the next Stern game came out and they had a screen like this or like that, so it was a redesigned back box, I don't think anybody would be upset. I think everybody would be like, yeah, nice, great. I will tell you the reason I won't buy one is because I don't want to have to buy 2 or 3. And on top of that, look at that freaking building.
The speaker light kit is so good.
Now, but Hadi, like if this caught on, Doug at Speaker Light Kits would start making speaker light kits that would fit that.
Yeah, if we got like a thinner flaming frames, like okay, then I could see myself. But again, you want to upgrade it on every single pin you own, and it's like.
So if we scroll down here, you'll see an actual picture. So yes, you see how there are these like oval speakers. So nice. I mean, nice Pioneer. But like I have here in my Godzilla here, I have a pin woofer system, and I freaking love them. But yeah, it's one of those. Sure, if this became a default screen size that Stern produced, the other mod manufacturers would adapt, right? But for this to be a thing that you're ordering straight out of, I think it was Italy, Madrid. Okay.
I love that they made it somewhat easy to install.
Plug and play.
That is a very good engineering marvel.
650 from Spain. But so it looks like it's essentially everything you see in this picture. You're going to unbolt these bottom 2 hinges, do the same on your game, unplug probably 2-3 wires, plug them back in, and you're done.
Which is incredible.
So 904 mentions more glass glare. True. You get the converter, grab a PC monitor, and good speakers. Yeah, but the bigger thing here, I mean, this is an entirely new metal frame, and that's obviously powder coated to match and everything like that. I don't know. I mean, Mike, I know that it's the color DMD thing, right? Like once you put one color DMD in, now all of a sudden you're looking at all your other games. I see Jackpot in the back doesn't have a color DMD.
I know. I need to get one in there.
Does that have a color DMD option?
It does have a color DMD option. It doesn't have a pin 2 DMD though, and that's what I tend to get. No one ever colorized it for pin 2 DMD. I do have a color one in Congo I could swap out, but I'm too lazy.
So King Henry here, oval speakers aren't going to be an upgrade. Think sound bars. So I know like the JJP, it's monitor and then speaker bar at the top. But sorry, Mike, I think you were saying something.
That's okay. I don't think I would buy it either. I do like it. You know what? I would consider one. There's only one game I would consider one for, and that would be Rush. And that's only because of the sheer amount of information that's on that screen. A bigger screen would actually be more helpful because of all the text that's around the outside of the Rush screen. I don't think it's necessary 3 inches. I mean, it's not bad. It does look really cool. I do think it's great, and I do think a lot of people will want one and will buy one. I personally wouldn't. I mean, if I wanted to have a bigger screen and whatnot, I had more space above my games. I mean, I would just get the boards that we use to stream for the direct, and then just hook up a nice big 32-inch TV above it and attach it to the wall for other people to watch the screen or whatever. But like Hadi said, you're not looking at the screen very often when you're playing the game, so really it's nice, but it's more for people who are watching the game, and I think a screen above would be even better.
Yeah, it's actually funny because Sterling there in chat said I want to upgrade all my games. So I made the comment earlier that if Spike 3 came out with a screen like that, there's going to be a lot of people that'll be upset that that's like, well, crap, now my Spike 2 look tiny, Are
we going to get a conversion kit for Spike 2 screens? Spike 3 screens for our Spike 2 games. Oh my God, the money they could make.
Yeah, I know.
But it's just, capacity at this point, and then QA.
The thing is I love the back glass. So, the one thing I don't like about Jersey Jack is there's not much on the back glass.
There, yeah.
So Stern can make a bigger monitor, but you got to keep the back glass. Those things, it's
I'm with you. I don't want to lose that art. For sure. But yeah, I applaud this group because it looks to be such a professionally made solution. And if you're saying $650, I mean, color DMD is 400, right? Well, Canada is probably whatever.
I don't
1,000.
I don't think the price is crazy, only because if you go to upgrade your speakers, you're into
that's another
$100 at least, at that point. So to me, I sort of saw it as, I get to upgrade my speakers, plus I get a bigger LED screen. Okay, it's still expensive, but I can sort of get there in my mind a little bit, because it's almost like a 2-for-1 deal there. But I kind of agree with everybody else for the price. It's like, okay, if I'm going to spend, in Canadian, and I bet by the time that thing arrives that you're $1,000 landed. If I'm going to spend $1,000, is this the best place to put it, for that incremental screen size and experience? So I think you gotta, if money's no option, I'm like, you just get it, right? But if you're operating like most of us are on a limited budget for these things, it's like, okay, is this really the best use of $1,000, or should that really go to a new game, or something else? A variety of things. Yeah, topper.
I mean, I'll tell you right now, I've just been, I, like everyone else, loves Godzilla. Not everybody loves Godzilla, but I
who doesn't like
love Godzilla, and so that's, to me, we talked earlier about the Stumbler mod. Like, to add that mod, it's easy for me to justify adding more to this game, and so it's hard for, like, I know I'm going to get powder coat on this game at some point. I just haven't figured out what I want yet. But so in my mind, it's like, well, if I want my Godzilla to be as like as top as it could be, this makes sense. But I will tell you, adding 3 inches to the screen and losing the flaming lights is not an appeal. To, like, I can't do both. Now, if I learned that these caught on and all of a sudden Doug, the speaker light kits, is like, okay, we have an XL version of the speaker light kits, I'll be like, okay, like I'm pulling the trigger on the screen, I'm pulling a trigger on another set of light kits. Like, I don't know, but
but are you picking this over a topper?
Well, no, I'd buy the topper too, Mike.
You buy a top, but if you had
yes.
Are you getting a topper before you're getting a screen?
So here's the deal. This is genuine. The topper here on Cactus Canyon is insane. It is so well done. But we've talked about this before, and Hadi knows, once you go topper, you're stuck. Like, duck your head, Hadi. Duck your head and look how dumb that looks that you're missing the Godzilla topper. You know, once you go one, that's why I know you position right there because you're trying to block it. Once you go one, you're stuck. You're stuck. And so in my mind, it's funny, but like I don't have the Godzilla topper yet. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if I have to sell Deadpool for a CGC game, I could get out of it. I could get out of toppers, you know?
Yeah.
I could buy a CGC game that doesn't have a topper and be out of them and not have the burden of needing to buy them anymore.
The burden.
But I told you, I was talking to Zach earlier. I said, if the Godzilla topper comes out and it's just meh, like lame or leh, like maybe I would get out of toppers and be like Mike and be the cool guy that can have stuff above his games. But if the Godzilla topper's awesome, I'm stuck. I'll be in toppers from here on out. But it's like it's hard for me to consider if I'm going to buy a CGC game. It's hard for me to consider buying like an Attack from Mars because the only Attack from Mars you can get with a topper is the LE, and those are like $15,000+. I mean, it's stupid. So I don't. The first world problems. Don't. You know, nobody needs to cry for me.
First world problem.
It really is. But I'm impressed. I would say this is an impressive thing. I think. I'll tell you right now, if they're able to get these to Texas Pinball Festival and they have them on a few games, there's going to be a handful of people that see them and they're going to be like, I'm stuck. You know, you think like Invisiglass. I'm a huge fan of Invisiglass. $250 a sheet.
Yeah.
Well, this color DMDs, $400+ and there's going to be people that are going to see this and they're going to be like, all right, $650 on every single one of my games. They're going to do it.
I think this mod is interesting too, just because it can be added on any Spike 2 game. So in theory, they've really hit an item here that it's not a Godzilla focused game mod, right? So just from a volume perspective, I think it was very smart for them to design something like that, that could appeal to basically any Spike 2 game out there right now. And as we know, there's tens of thousands. So
it's like a shaker motor or side blades or whatever. You just buy it and throw it in whatever game you want.
It has the potential, just like Pin Stadium. Pin Stadium, that applies to everything. And see how much that went up. G Money, does anybody know if there's going to be a different? No. It's the same. George Gomez said all the accessories that you can buy are for both games. So apparently the topper for the Gomez 007 is the same as the L1 going 007. All futures toppers need to be gameplay. This is the way. No more turtle topper light fail. Yeah, I get it. I have the turtle stopper, and yes, the turtle stopper is complete garbage compared to this Cactus Canyon. It does move. I like the turtle stopper.
The Technodrome moves?
Yes, and it's funny. My son loves it because he's like, the eye moved. He's like playing in the room and like, so I actually genuinely do like the topper, and I do like the Deadpool topper. It's just the Cactus Canyon one with its game integration is so far above, like the arms and doing different things and move and the knocking sound. I'm telling you, go watch my stream from last week or watch it next week. The topper integration is insanely good. But all right, so I did want to talk about that. If anybody buys one or gets one or sees one, if anybody's near is that at Sunshine Alone? No, that's a Jack Bar. If anybody happens to see that, please let us know. We know their thoughts. I mean, it's at Jack Bar apparently right now. You can go
in New York City.
Yeah, you can go check that out. Besides that, what else can we talk about before we wrap up here in a few minutes? Nap Arcade. Shout out Jason Knapp. I love that guy and love the content that he provides the entire hobby. Spooky Pinball. Apparently, if you look here, games are on boxes. So they're saying are officially coming off the line, heading out the door. So still no Jack Danger stream yet. Still no news on when that's going to be. Hopefully soon. Obviously, they did stream the game the other day, so I think they're in a good spot where they could let homeowners get them first. Obviously, you want to have, though, a nice, produced stream out there.
Who's getting it first, operators or homeowners?
It's mixed, isn't it? Isn't it mixed? No, I thought they were partially distributors get some and then and direct buyers.
Well, it's first batch of 50. I remember before I thought it was 50 go out to individuals, then 50 go deal to distributors. I don't know. From here, the company would begin to produce 30 machines per week until all sold. So the production run has a limit. They're still not sold out as far as I know. I still don't think they've sold all 1,969.
Did they sell out of the TNA remake?
No.
Or the reboot?
Nope. I think TNA is still available. And there was one of the podcasts, they said it was funny, but they were like testing the store before the official, they went for sale, and like somebody bought a TNA the morning of the Scooby-Doo sales, which they're just like, what? Okay. Game looks amazing. We talked about this on 2 weeks ago. It had just we had watched the stream and talked about it. So we did, right? Didn't we all? Yeah, we talked about it. So still very eager to see what happens next. And I'm guessing there'll be some video at some point that we're gonna see throw up on there, whether it's Jack Danger, it's some homeowner or somebody. There'll be video of it. Probably within the next week would be my guess. I don't know. So exciting. New pinball is always good.
I think it's great. I love those pictures too, because it really gives you a sense of how many they're building. Like, it looks like stuff is happening in a good way, like big space, a lot of built machines. They're getting to it, right? Like like so many of these companies that we talk about, it's like they either don't show you the production floor, or the shots that are there are very limited, and you really get the sense that they are quite small. So it's nice to see, and Jersey Jack's very open with this as well in terms of showing their production from time to time. Stern is, and obviously Spooky is too. So it's good to see that another company other than Stern and JJP, where there's some good positive stuff going on here, on the production side. Volume is what I'm talking about, like a lot of volume.
Yes, we've talked a lot about CGC today, and like you don't see anything for when it comes to their production. And I know American Pinball, they had a tour of the facility video. What was it, a few months ago, and that showed very little. So I get shocking. I would love a Haggis upgrade. Sean, good point. Pride Pinball. That Haggis was really good about that, doing update videos like weekly, and then those have stopped. Good point. I thought this was cool. These are the collector badges or whatever. I thought those were pretty on par. Godzilla Premium, who would have guessed? Those are on the line. What? Look at this. No, huge shout out to Jason. Like, this surprised me. I saw this pop up and I was like, what the heck? And yeah, he actually linked my stream because I had the I had a pretty
You're
good
staring up
cam.
at the topper.
And the topper mode is
wide-eyed.
Legit.
You're so wide-eyed there.
It's really, really good. Texas, I know Hadi and I will be there. Yeah, I got a big warm embrace coming for you, bud. Can't wait to see
it. No mullet this year, or no long hair.
I know. Yeah, Jared being Jared in the background. Yeah, that's my brother right there. Yeah. Mike, Mike or Craig, I'd love for you guys to go, but I get it. It's a trek.
It's a trek. It's a trek.
Yeah.
I'm going to Yagpin, so that's my big trip this year.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that. That'll be pretty sick. I might have to get you to buy me another shirt.
Another hoodie. Yeah. You can actually order them on the website starting this Saturday.
Perfect. Okay, I'll definitely check that out.
They've done a great job with the art of that.
The hoodie's awesome. Wow. I rarely wear that hoodie because I actually have it like hanging in my office, so I just kind of look at it. This is another whole thing. I'm assuming we're going to talk a lot more about this soon, but we really don't have any information on this. Zach and Dennis talked a lot about this on the Pinball Show, but it's Pedretti Gaming's next 2.0 kit is coming out very soon. So they did the Rudy's Nightmare game. Yeah. So that becomes a big discussion on, well, what game? What game is it going to be for? A lot of speculation. They haven't said, do we know for sure it's a System 11? Or
well, I thought that I heard that it was also going to be a System 11. I thought that I heard that they were going to be going through the whole line of them. That's sort of right, as long as there's a demand for it. But I mean, I could see them kind of starting with the higher production stuff first, right? Like maybe the high speed, something like that, starting there, and then moving down to, sadly, Taxi. I would like to see Taxi.
I know.
2.0
done immediately.
I'd be in trouble if Taxi was the answer.
Yeah.
Sterling.
Yeah.
Sterling, it sounds like we need to talk later. I've heard of Stern renewing a title being remade other than Stranger Things, but I can't say anything more. No, of this list, I know Hadi's answer. Hadi wants Whirlwind.
But the thing is, they had that at Southern Fried Gaming Expo. Someone was working on the 2.0, but then they got shut down because of licensing. But Taxi would be amazing. And I just started researching that Scott Denisi Aftershock Earthshaker edition that he did, the mod on P-Rock.
Yep.
I had no clue that existed. So I'd love to see an Earthshaker or even F-14, man, like upgrade it to Top Gun style. Just there's so many good options.
F-14 is a brutal game. It is fun though. But I mean the obvious choice in my mind is High Speed. High Speed is already such a great game with such a great layout. If you were able to add more to that game, I think High Speed is huge. Taxi I freaking love. If Taxi was, I know Mike and I are in the same boat there. If that was one, I love the game already. But if you tell me there's a way that I can make it more, add more to the game, whether it's lighting or sound or whatever, I would be real tempted to pick something like that up.
I'd buy it. I don't even own a Taxi. I'd buy it just to have it for when I know one day I will get a Taxi.
That's a good way of thinking. I like you.
Yeah, realistically, they could do Taxi. No way 2.0s have sold more than 500 units, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, I know that was what Dennis was really focusing on in the pinball show conversation is, why would you pick a game like Earthshaker when there's not a ton of them out there?
But I mean, how many did they make for the Funhouse?
You're not going to sell 5,200 kits. You could pick anything and run a limited run of 500, guaranteed 500 sales probably for any of those titles.
Yeah. Yep. No, I get it.
Especially like I've played the Rudy's Nightmare 2.0. It's really good. It's really good. There's a couple glitches, there's a couple quirky things like having to plunge your ball again during multi-ball when you get ball saves and stuff like that. That's kind of odd, but that's just because there's no kicker in the shooter lane for the game. But they did a really good job. I love the screen, the LCD. It's nice and bright, and the animations are great. Yeah, it's good.
Even the art, the art is really good. The 2.0, and you can interchange between Funhouse 1, Funhouse 2.
Well,
Pedretti did it right, I think, in doing a 2.0.
And that comes back, obviously, to the earlier conversation where so many of these games are killer games by themselves and are super approachable. Like Taxi is such an approachable game. And if you're telling me like, now all of a sudden you're going to bring more complex modes or more complex this or that or additional whatever, sure, I may not even tell people there's a 2.0 code. Just friends and family come over, they just play the stock game. You're going to have a blast. But then if anybody wants to challenge themselves or go deeper, you're like, let's flip it over and do this. So I don't know. It's
Jason's
cool.
right. Jason's right with Taxi. The licensing of the characters, because you got Gorbachev, Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
You can get away with Santa and
you can do Lola.
Pinball.
You can do Lola.
Pinball and Dracula. It really just comes down to Gorbachev and
Dracula.
Dracula, you're fine, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that like a universal thing at this point?
Is it public domain? Probably. Like Winnie the Pooh now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably good enough. Good enough. It's always funny to me, and please, I mean, chat, let us know. But it's coming into this, I was like, well, we could probably talk about kind of 90s code versus this, and we could probably talk about when's a good time to sell a game, and then we'll see what the news has and rely on chat after that. Like I'm not thinking we're gonna have 2 hours of content there, and yet it's I appreciate it. I think we have a fun conversation here, and I chat. Thank you so much for being active and adding to the conversation, because to be honest, it makes the 2 hours go quick. It makes it go quick, and it's a lot of fun. So but we'll do some quick plugs. We'll go reverse direction, why not? So Craig, plug it up, man.
You can catch me on the Pinball Show every week, the Pinball Show podcast, where I do my top stories news segment with Zach Meny and Dennis Kriesel, and that you can find that on the Pinball Network, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and good luck, Craig. I don't know how soon you're talking about potentially putting Avengers up for sale
tomorrow.
Or trade.
No,
tomorrow. Yeah. But yeah, thank you, Craig. Thank you for being here. Mike,
thanks,
go
Joel.
for it.
Thanks, guys.
You can check me and the rest of my family out on Pinballers Tuesdays, and then the odd tournament as well. And we're also on Facebook, Pinballers, Pinball and Retro, and Instagram. So yeah, check us out.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you for being on here. Appreciate you. Hadi.
Hey there, I'm Frisco Pinball. You can catch me on Twitch, streaming pinball soon again. I've taken a little small break, but I'm going to be participating in the Pin Clash with Godzilla. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just getting these pins. I got to get the Cliffies installed actually for Godzilla. But yeah, check me out there. All regular social media, Instagram, Twitter, everything's Frisco Pinball. I hope to see you there. We're also playing a lot of retro titles, speed running, and I really got into Fallout 76. So if you want to see some of that, come by.
Are you planning on streaming after this?
Yeah, I like doing late night Fallout 76. Just I got back into it. And once I got this desk, like my life changed.
Sitting down. Who would have thought? Yeah.
I feel like I should be able to stream for longer, but I got this chair and I was like, I'm falling asleep now because I'm so comfortable sitting down.
Well, I will say when we shut down this stream, that's my only complaint with streaming on YouTube is I can't raid anybody. So if you're still wide awake and looking for somebody to watch and you haven't had enough of Hadi, yeah, go get a drink, go pee or whatever, and wait a little bit, then go to Twitch and check out to see Frisco Pinball if he's streaming.
Thank you.
Yes, Hadi, appreciate you being here. And dude, the collection looks awesome. It's
thanks.
Cool
I'm. It's time to show it off a little.
Yeah, there you go.
no more green screen.
And yes, I am Joel. This is the Flippin' Out stream. So if you're watching this after fact, like always, like, follow, comment, all this stuff. So I appreciate the view. I appreciate you guys being here. And chat, thank you so much for being here and participating and keeping the conversation going. It's always fun just talking to these three, but it's also obviously great talking to the other 50 plus people that are here watching and having a good time. So yes, next week, same time, 10 to midnight roughly, Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to be streaming Cactus Canyon. Should be a good time, but yeah, wait up because it's I think I'm going to have something new coming very soon, whether it's Scooby-Doo or Bond 60th. So there'll be some new fun stuff to stream.
That'll be great.
Everybody be ready. You're going to be seeing a lot of Godzilla because everybody Pin Clash is starting on Friday, and all the attempts have to be streamed. They can't be video recorded. They have to be streamed. So just be ready. You're going to be turning on Twitch and seeing like 75% of the people streaming all playing Godzilla. They're all going to be playing one ball games, just trying to grind away at trying to find the best cash out bonus they can for total carnage bonus, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or total annihilation
Shout out
bonus.
to Carl, Pinball.
Yes.
Thank you for putting this on. It's so much fun.
It's going to be
You're going to hear a lot of swearing, a lot of
There's going to be a lot of resets. There's going to be a lot of everything. And I know Zach, I think, is actually planning on coming here, and Zach and I are going to play Godzilla one night, trying to qualify for Pin Clash, which should be fun.
That would be hilarious.
But yeah, I think that's that. We're going to shut it all down. Appreciate you guys. Chad, appreciate you. All the viewers afterwards, thank you so much. And come say hey to the stream next week. So, all right, see ya.
Thanks, guys.